Time to round up one of the big stories from the week. A new gun law in Georgia has the nation talking. It significantly expands the rights of gun owners to carry their weapons in the state. Georgia's governor signed the measure into law yesterday. Licensed gun owners will be able to bring their weapons into bars, government buildings, even churches. Opponents are calling it a dangerous precedent.
In a society where everyone is forced to live in a kill or be killed society.
It all goes back to the fact that guns don't kill people, people kill people. And, you know, if somebody's sound mind enough to have their gun permit, they should be able to carry freely wherever they choose to.
Businesses and churches will have the right to refuse to allow guns inside, and local governments will now have to decide whether to make security upgrades to keep weapons out. So this new gun law is our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you. You can share your thoughts on our Fox 26 Facebook page, or you can always send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. Joining us live in our newsroom, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. Hey, guys, good morning.
Good morning.
So should people with a permit be allowed to carry anywhere?
Well, I think this is probably a coming trend for states that allow concealed handgun licenses. In Texas, there's a bill that's going to be filed, if it hadn't already, for this next session to allow an open carry in Texas. And so I think that the states that are allowing carry, we're seeing, Jackie Bally, an expansion of those rights. The question is do you want a bunch of drunks in bars packing pistols too?
Well, a lot of the crimes that we see involving firearms and guns are the criminals get the guns illegally anyway. So anything that's expanding gun rights, it's not really going to impact us as in the citizens who actually go through the proper measures, go through the proper regulations to get the guns. A lot of people say what you just said. Well, will that have an impact? People don't just pull out a gun anytime they get upset or angry in a bar. There are all kinds of opportunities to pull out a knife or any other incident. So I think the fact that they're expanding gun rights for those of us who legally go through the measure, I think that's a very positive and good thing, because criminals do things illegally anyway.
It's a little easier to run away from a knife, I think, but Mustafa, your thoughts on that?
I don't know, Chris, you have experience running away from knives? But
I do.
the Wayne Lafayette always says, you know, the only thing stopping a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And that's kind of like fantasy land, right? That's not the real world we live in. It's not cartoons where good guys wear white hats and bad guys wear black hats. If you're in a bar and there's, 100 people in that bar and it's busy and people are drinking and somebody got a gun and they pull it out, it becomes a problem. This law also allows people to have silencers now for the first time as a legal firearm to sell for hunting purposes. That means that there will be not just more guns in Georgia, but there'll be more people with silencers.
Of course, we wouldn't want to scare the birds when we're shooting at them.
Absolutely. And look, this is not, from a public safety standpoint, by putting more guns in the hands of more people in schools, in churches, in hospitals, it's just not smart. And at some point, people die because of this. Now, the only place you can't carry a gun in Georgia after this bill passes is within the legislature, because there's a small rule in here that says, which is a good rule in this bill, which says that people with, anyone that's been diagnosed with mental illness and has gone into the court is not allowed to carry.
Which is different for Texas, where if you have a concealed handgun license, you don't even have to go through the security detectors. You just get to carry your gun into the legislature.
But studies, continued study. We have so many different studies that show having more guns does not equal more crimes, like Mustafa just said. That is not true. In fact, in the states that have very restricted gun laws, that's where you have a lot of crimes with guns. And those in our city like Texas, if you compare Texas to Illinois, you will see that Illinois has a much higher rate of crimes with guns, even though they have stricter gun laws.
All right, let me go to Sally. I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Yeah, we've got people weighing in on this issue right now on our Facebook page. Brian says that more than 300 studies, I don't know where he got 300 from, but he says more than 300 studies show permitted owners are not the producers of crime, but they're the ones who stop crime, as Jackie was mentioning there. Marcia, she's expressing some concern. She says more guns means more chances that these weapons are not going to be locked up and could get into the hands of children.
Well, and I think that is a good point that the viewer was making, that the people that have concealed handgun licenses probably tend to be non-criminal.
Right.
Well, they tend to be non-criminal. I'm not arguing that. And most of those studies are funded by the NRA and funded by the gun manufacturers. That's why there's so many studies, because they keep paying various people to do it. But if you look at where where you have more guns, there are more gun accidents. And that's consistent across there. You will find that there are more gun accidents in places like Texas and Georgia and Virginia than there are places like Illinois because there are more guns in the house.
Well, I don't know where Ryan got his 300, but I do know that there is a study that I saw done by Harvard. It was not done by NRA, anything like that. And they actually compared European countries compared to, of course, the U.S. And they've shown that actually what we're doing, having more access to guns, actually reduces crime-related incidents with guns as opposed to those European countries.
Okay, we're out of time, but Texas is going to have this open carry. Do you support that?
I haven't read everything that it's going to.
Well, would you
that it
support
said.
people packing heat openly?
If they go through a permit, yeah.
No. All right, and we're going to leave it right there. Sally, we'll be back in a few minutes with another really good topic.